and welcome back to my orchid life. So today I'm going to repot 2 orchids that I got from Jewel Orchids back on the 7th of October. I was trying to wait, let them acclimate a little bit more, but both of them are in moss, and the moss is kind of fausty, and that's not the real issue. The real issue is there were some things moving around in there, so I want to go ahead and switch them out, put them in something fresh, and keep whatever's in there away from the collection. So I have a couple of different media here. I have the charcoal rock that I recently repotted a cattleya in. I've got my moss that has perlite and cleaned charcoal. So when I say clean charcoal, so when you get that bag of charcoal pieces and you reach it and it's all dusty, what I do is I put it in a colander or a strainer. I don't know what you call it in your part of the world. I call it a colander. Some people call it a strainer. But I pour a certain amount in there, and then I let water run through it until the water runs clear. I let it dry, and then I put it in a separate container until I'm ready to use it. Or if I have moss that I want to mix it into, I mix it into the moss. So that's what I mean when I say cleaned charcoal. This way you don't have all that powder and charcoal mess on your hands. And then I also have my small bark here just in case. So one, I know for sure I'm going to use the the charcoal rock, just because I have a mature plant of the seedling, this Potnera Dick Smith Paradise. So I'm going to just put it in the lava rock. Which one is this? The SLC Sun Circle. I have not decided yet if I'm going to put it back into a moss mixture or a moss and bark mixture, but either way it goes, they're both going into terracotta pots. I've got my Fisker soaking in 70% isopropyl alcohol. Let me just move some of this out of the way and give myself some space. And I have my hydrogen peroxide. So I am going to do the Potnera Dick Smith first, just because I already know what I want to put it in. So just in case you're wondering, it says BLC on here. It has been renamed as BLC. I know it is Potnera, so that's kind of what I'm calling it. And let me just dip that in there so we can kill whatever might be in and on lay tag. There we go. Let that air out. So we'll just take her out and see what we got in here. So she has a styrofoam. So as you can see, it has nice viable roots in there already, and this is, I'm assuming, natural moss that has grown, but like I said, there were some things moving around, and it kind of has a smell to it. So I was trying to wait and be a good girl like I'm supposed to be, but I can't do bugs. I can't. So far I've been very lucky in not having bugs in my collection. I did have some mealybugs on a string of bananas that has been isolated, and so far I haven't seen any on my orchids, so I don't want to chance getting bugs into my collection, especially since I grow inside my home. That means they'd be in my house. Eeks. I don't like bugs. Alright, so now that we've gotten the moss off, she actually has a rather decent root system. So let me just cut off the stuff we don't want, and then we will see what we are left with, which looks like it's going to be rather good because not much to cut off really, just some ends that are dying off. But overall and this is a branching root system, so she should spread out more. Get the rest of that off of there. And then while I have it out, I'll just clean off any dead sheaths that might be on here. Those are the roots we are left with. Look really good, actually. Nice, healthy little root system to support. And it does have this new growth here that is finishing off. And I have one dog outside barking and one dog inside barking because the dog outside is barking. So we will just keep going. I apologize for that, but that's the life that you have when you live with dogs. They bark at everything. All right, and I am going to spray between these growths just to make sure that there's nothing in there. And we will spray these roots really good. And there's a little bit here, and you're probably going to hear one of them start growling because, again, the one outside is barking. And the one outside barking is probably barking because she wants to come inside, but she didn't want to come inside earlier when I was out there. So I said, well, you stay out there. And I'm just putting the hydrogen peroxide a little bit on the leaves just in case there's bugs on the leaf, on the front and the back. And I'm just using my thumb. What we're going to do with this one. Okay, squeeze the sides, loosen it. Like I said, they're both in moss. This one here does have a new root activity growing right here because it looks like it's going to be a bifoliate. It's got two unifoliates and one bifoliate on it. And this one here, the roots do not look as good. Again, we've got some peanuts at the bottom. Well, actually looks can be deceiving. Touching them, they're actually rather firm. And this is the one that I saw the creepy crawly in first, so I started really paying attention. And this one also has some ferns in there and, you know, a lot of extras that not wanting. And I'll fast forward over this one, cleaning it up, because this moss is a little more compact and I'm gonna be a little more gentle. The other one. I like to work with wet moss when I'm removing it from the plant. Some people like to work with dry moss. Really, it's just a preference on what you like and what works best for you. I just find it comes off a little easier when I do it when it's wet instead of dry. Plus, I don't like that crunchy sound. I know, I'm a little weird. I have a lot of little idiosyncrasies, as I'm sure we all do. Leave in the comments down below what your biggest pet peeve is as far as with your orchids and repotting. Like, is it finding that you don't have the root system you expected, or in my case, the crunchiness of the moss? All right, so this is, let me show you this root right here. The branching on here is amazing. Look at this. Let me turn her around. Look at the branching on that. Is that not just beautiful? Look at that. Look. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. For those of you who are new, I do like to touch every last root just to make sure, because just because it looks dead doesn't always mean it is dead. Sometimes they're just discolored from the media itself, or it just, like this one here, if you look at it, it kind of looks all flat and everything, and it looks like it's not any good, but it's still really firm, so we'll leave that one on there. Now with oncidiums and finer rooted orchids, it's a little bit harder, but I do try my best to get as many of those touched as possible. Sometimes you just have to just cut it off because you're just like, okay, that mass is just too much to have to go through. But it does pay, especially if it doesn't have a real good root system, to go through each root and make sure. So again, if you're new, when you watch videos and people are looking at the rhizome and they're like, oh yay, it's healthy, it's because we do not see any fusarium, which is a disease your orchid can come with that can quickly take it down when you stress it out, especially during a repot and root cutting, media change, that kind of thing. So you may have an orchid for 4 years, and it not have any issues, and then all of a sudden you repot it or you put it under a lot of stress, and then all of a sudden it starts going downhill. Usually that's when your fusarium kicks in, when it's put under some stress. Just to show you guys. So nice healthy rhizome there. And I do have my cinnamon that we will use here in a few minutes. So we can move. All right. And again, I will just take and use my hands to spread the hydrogen peroxide all on the leaves, just as a precaution. I've already wiped the leaves with the hydrogen peroxide when I first got them, but one can never be too careful, especially since I saw some things moving around. I couldn't tell what it was. I just saw some movement and it kind of creeped me out a little bit. All right, so while we let this one sizzle, I'll just put it in that pot right there for now. We'll go ahead and pot up our Dick Smith's Potinera here. And I got me a little bowl of water here just to kind of rinse them off and get any excess off. You don't have to rinse after you've done the hydrogen peroxide. Some people do the hydrogen peroxide after they've washed the orchid. I do both. It just kind of depends on the size of the orchid, really. If this were a larger orchid, I probably would have taken it to the sink to wash it off instead of just this little bowl of water. And another good thing too, and I've stated this before, is when you have your orchid out of its pot, you're getting ready to repot it, is the best time to clean up sheaths and the base of your orchid and just get it all nice and pretty. That was already off. That was attached with the moss I just pulled off of there. All right. Still, we have quite a few roots left for our little baby here. And like I said, we're going to put it in Le Lava Rock. I keep calling this lava rock. It's not lava rock. It's charcoal rock. Let me just put a couple pieces at the bottom. And looks like the direction of growth is going to be this way. So we'll put it against the pot that way. And a couple more pieces in. Spread that out a little bit. Just make sure not to damage it too much. And because it is coming out of moss, I may need to water this a little more frequently just for the first few weeks while it acclimates into this kind of new setup that I'm putting it in. That piece is too big. Let's tetra this thing together here. This piece right here, look how it's shaped. It's got that little corner on there, so I'm just kind of fixing it into where the orchid can kind of rest on it to kind of help support it in its time of transition here. I'm one of those people that nails on a chalkboard doesn't bother me, so I'm sorry if the scraping of this rock up against the clay pot is kind of unnerving. I didn't think about that until just now. And then this one has a little curve in it that we will do like so. There we go. All right, so there is one done. Where did I put my tag? In front of my face is where I put it. And I'll put today's date on there later. And then let's rinse off. Oh, did I even tell you guys which one this was? I think this was the sun. What did I do with the tag? Okay. Well, I don't know what I did with the tag. Okay, well, I guess I will put the name on the screen when I find the tag. I am not sure what I did with it at all. All right, well, let me just get all of this excess moss off of here. I always like to, oh, it's in the pot, that's why. I always like to sterilize my Fiskars after I use them, just in case I need to pull them out real quick and don't sanitize them. Yeah, so this is the sun circle. Let's see if I can get it straight. I don't even know if that's in focus just because the handwriting is so light. Let me look. Let me just put her in here real quick. So there's the new direction of growth coming that way. So we'll put her kind of back there, kind of towards the back of the pot. So with orchids that grow on a rhizome, you always want to try to put the oldest growth kind of towards the edge of the pot so that it has plenty of room to grow. And I am going to put a piece of this at the bottom just to block that hole a little bit. So we don't want media falling out. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a mixture of moss and bark in here. And then when I repot her later, when it's time to repot again, then she can go probably, and this, like I said, has charcoal in it as well. And with the clay pot, it will help absorb any excess that the moss may or may not hold. All right, so we've got her in her new pot. So like I said, this is, or not like I said, but like you saw, this is moss with some charcoal and perlite with some, and then a bark mixture kind of layered. And then we have the Dick Smith Patinera that is in our lava rock. Not lava rock, I keep calling it lava rock. It is charcoal rock, but they're both in terracotta pots. So I already have a mature one of these, so I can go ahead and just kind of play around and experiment with this one. And then this one I did stake just because she was a little wobbly, and she has this new growth that is growing some roots, so that is good. And we will check on them here in a few months and see what they're doing. All right, well, I appreciate you coming by. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't mind, and we'll see you guys on the next one.